three bank robbers disappeared from Alcatraz prison.
The greatest prison break in history became America's most notorious cold case.
We've had zero leads for 50+ years.
The escape from Alcatraz in 1962 forced the government into a merciless manhunt.
The escape was a huge embarrassment. The FBI was relentless.
And it put an unknown Florida family into the national spotlight.
We couldn't do anything without the FBI showing up, asking questions.
They bugged every one of our phones.
It was a terrible thing for our family.
Until they ultimately went into self-imposed exile. But now, the Anglin family is finally ready to share their secrets.
We have some items that will prove that those boys were alive at least until 1975.
It's almost kind of like getting the blessing, go solve this mystery.
Never seen anything like that before in my life.
And possibly solve this infamous case.
Director Harlow?
I never believed that this would happen.
People are going to be shocked at what they see.
Washington, D.C. Former United States Marshal Art Roderick receives a breathtaking phone call.
Art Roderick, can I help you?
This is Ken Widener, the nephew of John and Clarence Anglin.
The family of two of the three escaped prisoners in the 1962 Alcatraz escape is reaching out to the former marshal, and for the very first time, offering their assistance with this legendary cold case. For the one-time lead investigator of the Alcatraz escape, the surprise development is a shocking potential break in a half-century-old mystery.
Law enforcement had been in touch with the family since the escape occurred in 1962. It has tried over the decades to get cooperation from it, and it has never happened up to this point.
We're finally ready to hear what we know of the Alcatraz escape, the Marshal Service. We're ready to put this case to bed.
When it opened in 1934, Alcatraz housed the most infamous, high-risk criminals of its day.
Doors open to Al Capone as Machine Gun Kelly served the life term with no pals to aid him.
And was the most feared penitentiary in America. Touted as inescapable by officials, Alcatraz captured the public's imagination. And as the years passed, the rock's mythology grew. But in 1962, the unthinkable happens. Brothers John and Clarence Anglin, along with Frank Morris, pull off an ingenious escape, disappearing into the night.
The escape triggered the greatest manhunt in San Francisco's history.
With each passing day, the national scrutiny grew, shaming J. Edgar Hoover and his Federal Bureau of Investigation.
It was a big embarrassment for the FBI. That was Hoover's baby. And they did not want people to believe that they made it out of there.
Ken and David Widener are the nephews of Alcatraz escapees John and Clarence Anglin.
When I was a kid growing up, we couldn't do anything without the FBI showing up, asking questions.
As the feds insisted that the fugitive trio more than likely drowned in San Francisco's bay, they were simultaneously pursuing their manhunt with reckless abandon.
The FBI, they followed them. They bugged every one of our phones. They'd come into my grandmother's living room, demand that everybody stay where they're at until they answer all their questions.
The FBI harassed the family so bad because they thought that, somebody knew something.
We don't trust the FBI, and we do not trust the Marshal Services for that very reason.
Now, 5 decades removed from the escape, and after poring over their family's prodigious archives, the brothers believe they have unearthed evidence that may answer the question of what happened to their uncles. To this day, it is widely believed that the 3 escapees made it out of the prison alive, but never made it out of the treacherous water.
Well, we have some items that I think will prove to everyone that those boys were alive at least until 1975.
We're not doing this for the fame. We're not doing this for the money. We're doing this to prove that they actually did get off that island. They actually did survive that crossing. It's very possible they're still alive today.
To help pursue their evidence, the brothers have reached out to retired Marshal Art Roderick, well known to the Anglin family as a fair and balanced investigator.
Art Roderick worked on this case for a long time. It consumed his life for 25 years, just like it consumed ours.
We have information that I know he's going to find very interesting, and I think between the two of us, we can probably solve this case.
The Widener brothers have asked Roderick to meet them in Ruskin, Florida, just south of Tampa, hometown of the Anglin brothers.
This is the first actionable lead we've had in this entire case in 53 years, so we have to move on it.
Hard to believe we're going to meet a retired marshal.
You know, he's going to probably be freaking out a little bit to be out in the middle of nowhere. He's going to wonder what is really up.
But you know, I believe we've got an answer for that, because I want him to see, you know, hey, this is the Anglin family cemetery. I mean, this is where all of them are buried at. It's a good place to start this journey at. It's right there in front of Grandma and Granddaddy's grave. It's almost kind of like getting the blessing. Go solve this mystery.
Yes.
The mystery surrounds the whereabouts of their 2 fugitive uncles, John and Clarence, who, along with their older brother Alfred, robbed an Alabama bank in 1958 using a toy gun. After multiple escape attempts in Atlanta Federal Penitentiary and at Leavenworth, John and Clarence were sent to the Rock and requested to be housed near one another. But a strongly worded cautionary note from the associate warden at Leavenworth advised against such a situation. Yet the warden of Alcatraz, Paul Madigan, dismissed the warning, believing that Alcatraz was inescapable, and placed the brothers in neighboring cells. The Primitive Baptist Church and Cemetery. An interesting setting for the first meeting between the Anglin family and the United States government.
This is it, right here. This is where we're going to be meeting you. Hard to believe this is where all the Anglins are buried.
All but 2.
I know it would definitely be good for our mom and Aunt Merle. It would be closure for them. Why we didn't start this 25 years ago, it wasn't time. It's definitely time now.
For my Aunt Merle and my mom, they will know before they pass away what really happened to their brothers.
Yep, this is it. Grandma and Granddaddy.
Wow. I wish that what we're going to show the marshal, that we could show her. You sure we can trust this man?
No, I'm not sure.
David Widener.
Good to finally see you.
How you doing?
Art, Ken Widener, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. Good to meet you guys.
Well, you know, we asked you to come out here because if you look around, this is where all of the Anglin family are buried. Our grandmother, our grandfather, we've got uncles buried here, we have aunts buried here. All of the Anglin families are buried here except for two people. We want to be able to bring them back to the cemetery and bury them here with their family.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have different theories. My theory is they never got out of the water. I don't think they made it.
We don't believe that.
Yeah, we don't believe that for a minute. What do they have today to show me that my uncles did not make it across? What do they have? They have nothing.
Take it from our perspective that we have never seen anything to say that they made it out of the water. We're working from that premise right there.
Well, I'll tell you what we're fixed to show you might help us get our uncles back here where they're supposed to be.
We're about to give you a new lead.
Okay.
We'd like to show it to you.
Lead the way.
Let's go.
Got a couple of things that you might be interested in. What we have here is some Christmas cards from the boys. And as you can tell, every one of these cards has been marked and read as they left the prisons. That one.
Okay, and that's their number there, right?
That is their prison
25034.
number. Exactly. Our family received Christmas cards starting in 1962 that just showed up in the mailbox, had not been through the post office. They're also signed by John and Clarence. Guess what? There's no markings.
And you're saying these two came after the escape?
Exactly.
Post-escape.
Ruskin, Florida. For the first time in 53 years, the family of Alcatraz escapees John and Clarence Anglin is sharing evidence with the United States government to try and find out what happened to the brothers after they escaped from the Rock in 1962.
Got a couple of things that you might be interested in. What we have here is some Christmas cards from the boys that just showed up in the mailbox, had not been through the post office.
And you're saying these two came after the escape?
Exactly.
That's correct. Every year, no matter where they were, John and Clarence always sent Christmas cards. For 3 years after the escape, my grandmother and grandfather continued to get cards. Signed, John and Clarence.
Well, yeah, the problem is it's hard to verify. These came after the escape in 62. I mean, I know you're telling me this,
Right.
but, you know, you got to show me something better than you just telling me that they showed up in the mailbox in 62, 63, and 64.
Yeah,
We
actually do have something else.
Okay, all right.
So, I want to start off and I want to show you something. 1992, a friend of the family gave us this photograph.
That's her comparison there.
Those two men look familiar to you?
I think that Art thought that he was probably wasting his time coming down to talk to us, but once I handed him that picture, I think a light bulb went off in his head.